What is going on? Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. Today was insane. I was not expecting it because everybody out there thought the market was closed today for Columbus Day. People were lacking funds on cash accounts because the funds weren't settling today. And wow. And so it turned out to be a crazy day. Look at this. On ELBM, absolutely insane. We're going to walk through exactly how I did it from start to finish on ELBM and everything else. Heard a few things today. XCH or XHC or whatever it was. XCH. ELBM is an awesome day. I'm going to walk through every single trade with you here and show you exactly how I did it. And today was a really fruitful day. It was actually insane. And so going into the open today, we had a lot of things to look at. We're going to keep it nice and concise for you because I know your time is valuable, but I want to go through it all because I think that it will help you out for tomorrow. Now, big thing was I really liked ELBM today. The daily time frame was fantastic. You look at the daily time frame, I'll show you here real quick before you can get into it, because first thing we look at before we even do anything is how's the daily look. If the daily doesn't have range, nothing else matters. We look at the daily time frame here. And on ELBM, this really was one of the top watches today. Had a high float rotation in pre-market. We had this leading gapper going to the market open. So we had this in ST. And this thing on the daily time frame, we had this past daily high sitting here in the threes. And this thing, after we got over that level, we had room here all the way to this past daily high. It puts us up here all the way into $5, $5.50, which on the pre-market watch list, you can see here, the range was $4.50 to $5.50. So again, this thing was awesome. And so I said, let's watch it over. Look at this. This is what we had gone over in this morning's live stream with the students in pre-market. And so we had ELBM to watch into market open over 360. Look at this. Over 360 for the range to 450 and 550. And oh my God, it couldn't be any easier. And again, where do we get those levels from? The daily time frame. Easy, simple as day. Clean, it doesn't get much easier. And so we go to market open on those. And a few things to notice. Of course, we've got daily range over 360, but we also have, look at this, super coiled setup here going into the open. Look at this. And so I knew if we got breaking out here, we had a good chance for a nice move. And so this thing got breaking out, and of course, we don't take the first candle. Taking that first candle is not my cup of tea, and hopefully is not yours. You never want to be the first one to the party because you're first one there, nobody else shows up. Now you look pretty stupid. And so this gets breaking out of this 1 minute trend and confirms off the second candle. I saw this thing pull back and retest the VWAP. Now I wanted to take it there, but I didn't get it there because again, I wanted to see more confirmation. And so once this thing actually gets pulling away here, took the entry, risking off the bottom of this last candle for the move up into the previous highs. And again, we get them with the previous highs. This thing is crazy strong. The tape is hot. And so again, raise stops to 1 minute low. Again, consolidates, cracks higher. Cracked me a massive move. Didn't trim anything through here. Just let go. Took a full profit up here underneath 5. Why? That's the whole number 5 spot. Easy enough. It doesn't get much easier than that. Again, psychological 5 spot overhead. So we also had these levels on the pre-market watch list that said 450 and 550. So also using that to our advantage to have an idea of where to trim. And so take full profit as tape slows up here off these highs. Look at this. Price consolidates a little bit, puts in a range off the 9 EMA, confirms. Look at this. It breaks below, puts in place a wick off this previous low. Take the entry, risking off this bottom here. So again, I take it again. Look at this. Risk at 435, risking off the bottom of this wick at 415, 20 cents of risk, tiny risk. And I get a move here. Again, look at this. From 435 all the way back to the low 5s. It's a crazy move. You don't see this stuff every day. And this just goes to show the market that we're in now and stuff is heating back up. We haven't seen action like this after market open in a little bit. It's been a while. And so you come out of the bell today, we have a $2 move in literally 7 minutes, which is just nonsense. It's crazy. And so this was a great way to start the day. Going on from this, we had some good stuff. We had GWH. This one, I wish that I could have traded a little bit better than I did. Or I wouldn't say better. I wish I traded more than I did. But the issue was where it really set up well. And this was something I was watching into the bell too. We had, of course, look at this. Big move to the upside out of market open. It pulls back, consolidates to put in place a range. You have VWAP here right above this breakout. So it breaks above VWAP, and this thing looked incredible. And so as it breaks above, it pulls back. Look at this. It pulls back and confirms off this past high. This right here would have been the perfect entry right here. It doesn't get much better than that. That would have been tremendous. But the unfortunate fact of this was I was still trading ELBM whenever this happened. So I missed it. It is what it is. But after it pulls back, you can see we break to a new high. It pulls back, and then it confirms back over the 9 EMA. Then I take a pullback. Look at this. And so I take a 1 minute pullback here, fairly tight, 660, risking 650. I mean, 10 cents of risk. And I get a nice move here, back up into the previous highs, and just took full profit underneath that previous high of day. And so I'm able to capture it from 659 to 676. And so again, really happy with that. And I didn't play it anywhere else because it was just a really odd trading stock, to be frank. Very grindy. I wish it wasn't quite as poppy and droppy, but I still made some money on it. I came in, nailed it, sniped it once, and I was done with it. Moving on from that, we had some good stuff on the XCH. This one was pretty good. Doesn't really get much better than this either. And the way it traded was also kind of strange. Because I looked over at Webull, and Webull showed that it had like 35 million share float, but Trade Idea said it had like a share float. And so I'm like, that's a pretty big difference. Or no, 3 million, excuse me. Trade Idea says that's a 3.8 million share float. And so I was like, all right, that's a pretty big discrepancy. We're seeing, 35 million on, we're seeing 3.8 million on Trade Idea. And so at first I didn't want to trade this because I'm like, it's 35 million share float. I don't really want to mess with this. But then I saw how it was trading, and the more you watch how these stocks trade, the more you'll get a feel for these different floats and how they. And so I could just tell this thing was really thin. I could tell it was not a 35 million share float stock. And so this thing pulls back. Look at this. It makes the first move. It halts here, resumes, and pulls all the way back. But then buyers step back in. It reclaims VWAP, and I take the pullback. Take the pullback with the range back up into this previous high, which I got to a T. Played it here from 130 to 136. Price pulls back aggressively again and puts in place a big wick off the low off this past bottom. Again, awesome entry spot. Take it off the bottom off this wick, risking off the low of day. Solid back up in top. And so then again, price reclaims, pulls back again. Look at this. Pulls back, but then pops back above, puts in place a higher low right above VWAP, tight off the 90 MA VWAP for the move back up into the top of its range here. And again, capture it beautifully. Capture it beautifully from 127 back to 1. So again, doesn't get much easier than this, just trading this range. It puts in place a defined range, and from there you take advantage of that. Again, I take advantage of the higher low. Again, take advantage of this wick off the low, confirming the bottoms. Again, higher low, tied off of risk. And so again, we just have a lot of great opportunities. These only work whenever you're trading in a range like this. If you're trading these pullbacks in a range, if you have range to the upside in its channel. And this, if it was any tighter like this, then of course this entry would not have worked. But the fact that we had so much range back up into this previous high, it was a perfect setup. It worked really, really well. So I had that and that, and moving on from that, I did have a loss on something. It was not all sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately. I did have a loss on something, and it was on NAMM. Everything else was awesome, but this one I took small size on, and it didn't really go my way. And so I took this here on the breakout. Look at this. You have this big flag form here after breaking over its opening range highs, which looks incredible to me. It gets breaking out. 1 minute, massive move to the highs here. And look at this volume, too. Big volume move to the high of day. And so as it pulls back, I see this candle getting bought up to the breakup higher, and then it fails to do that. And so I take a really small loss on this. So I had a quarter size on this for what it's worth, but a quarter size on this from 408 to 403. So I mean, a really small loss. But then I back and did it again, and then I was like, all right, this thing just sucks. Look at this. Big move to the upside, consolidate, breaks to the highs, pulls back. I see this candle start to consolidate, and I want to get that next leg. But the issue was, and again, the nuance that I missed. This is the only trade this morning that I could have said I could have avoided. This one back here I really liked. This one here I don't like in hindsight. And the issue is this wick off the high. This is one of the biggest nuances in the book that I typically don't miss, but I did today, although it was small size, so I guess I was maybe a little bit, turning a blind eye to it. I'm long on a trade, for example, and let's say I'm in this through here. As soon as I see this big wick off the high, that is my sign for an instant exit. I'm gone. I'm out of here. As soon as I see this wick off the high where price tries to make a new high, instantly rejects, and grabs liquidity over the high of day, that's my sign for an instant exit. And again, that alone was a nuance here to keep me away from the setup. And had that not been there, I think this had a better chance of working out for sure. I mean, 100%, 1,000,000%. But this is so important. That is so important. Whenever a stock makes a new high and then instantly rejects back beneath that previous high, like it does here, instant sign to stay away. And so that's really the reversal indicator there to stay away from that. But apart from that, amazing morning, man. Amazing morning with the ELBM. I mean, you make this stuff up. It was an awesome day. But that pretty much sums up the morning recap. So the market is getting hot. Market is getting hot in the morning too. And overall, just a really, really, really good day. Swing watch list on MP to a T today too. I don't know if you saw this today, but MP. Oh my goodness, look at this. MP, I said on the swing watch list last night, watch for the break above 85s. Then look for pullbacks to set up over 83. This thing made a massive move all the way to $100 today. 25% move is crazy. But that pretty much sums up the morning. So that being said, if you did learn something from this video, make sure to subscribe for daily content just like this. And of course, make sure to claim access to your 7-day free trial to watch me trade these stocks in real time every single day and get alerts, watch list, chat room access, education, and so much more. That link is down in the description below. Check it out. Join us for 7 days completely free. Learn more on that link. And that being said, I will see you there.